loud. Go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the minutes from the last 3 meetings. Is there any changes, additions? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Chuck, can you hear good today?
It's not better.
Well, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Jason makes the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by John. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is our bills. We have a motion to approve the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Paul makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nicole. Any other discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is delinquent bills. Is there any questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Jason. Any other discussion? John?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Motion carries. And I vote yes. Motion does carry. Forgot the payroll. Is it on now?
Yep.
Yep.
It's on the website.
Yep.
Okay.
Here we go.
Do I have a motion to approve the payroll from last month?
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
Paul makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jason. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Casey sent out the financials by email. They're also on the website too. Just need a motion to approve. Do you have a motion to approve?
please. This is just for June, right? This is just June, right?
Yes.
This is the year-to-date.
Just June.
This is June.
Yep, you got your 24 total budget right here. And then here would be the actuals and then your variance. You want to see June in particular? Here's the actuals just for the month of June. Yep.
And it's not that you're approving all the numbers, it's just that you're approving that it's been submitted and accept the submission.
I'll make the motion.
Jason makes a motion, is there a second? Second.
Any fund you want me to go to? Oh, come on, you. That's red. Here we go. Here's your report. There's your expenses. Here's your revenues right up here. And then down here's your expenses.
Second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Paul. Any other discussion? Nicole?
Yes.
John? Yep. Jason?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. Being that most of our public tonight is here for the garbage bid, so we go down to that first. Has everybody had a chance to look over both the bids from Waste Management and from Countrywide? And if so, do you have a motion to approve a bid or reopen? Or questions for anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Waste Management.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Properly moved and seconded to accept the bid from Waste Management. Is there any other discussion?
Can I talk?
Sure.
I just wanted to say that I did look up online and I did see the bids and I knew I wasn't going to get it today, but just a couple things that I want to mention. First of all, I did a lot of work in the community and I did a lot of auditing with containers and sizes and so forth. There's a couple of times I tried to reach out and I wasn't getting responses very well, like with the municipals and stuff like that. So I just wanted you guys to know that when I get emailed, like I even emailed about getting the bids and I wouldn't get any response at all, Casey. So just saying, and that's fine because I found it on the web and I know that Waste Management's cheaper and I understand respectfully why you're doing this. So this is good, you know. For me, I would have to, you know, provide all brand new containers, right? and trucks. So it's gonna be a little more expensive for me to put that capital investment into the community and charge the type of rates that they're charging. It's, you know, it's probably less than what we were charging 20 years ago. Typically we, you know, looking at this bid, I looked at the residential being quite low and commercial maybe higher. And so I would have right-sized where the residential should be versus the commercial. I'm not sure, you know, if every commercial business needs the size of container that they would need, you know, like if they're half full, 3/4 full when they're dumping, I don't know that. But that's just something else. And I would probably encourage, because looking at year number 5, what they're going to charge you is about what the city of Grand Forks is charging residents now, and they have their own landfill, they own it. So I'm just saying that I think maybe looking into this and further, if you do sign the or if you have approved it, that you look at a way out in case the service isn't what you need in the future. That's just my recommendation. But anyway, I did find it on the web. I did realize that we were a bit higher. But I still
If
think
you, Mark, do we own the dumpsters or not?
yes. You don't own the commercial dumpsters.
No, those are the totes.
You own the totes.
The totes.
And
Why would you not want to use our totes?
No, I do. I'm talking about, I would have to buy carts for the recycling. And I would have to buy all the metal containers for,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, that's, like I said, I priced out the trucks, I priced out the containers, and it was at $1 million. So that's where I'm at. Again, no, I appreciate that. Congratulations there. So I just wanted to come in and give you some of my thoughts today. So, okay?
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Rich.
Thanks for taking the time to do that.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Council.
Yes. Any other discussion? John?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Any yes for me? Motion carries. Okay. We'll get that signed and taken care of. We'll back up to commissioners' reports. We'll start with Nicole tonight.
I have nothing tonight, but I do have a quick question. We approved the minutes for the last meeting, right?
Correct.
But it says that we didn't approve them for the time before that.
Right, we approved them both because the previous meeting,
Okay.
we didn't have them here.
So you approved both, okay, just want to make sure. Yep, other than that, I have nothing.
And I don't know this question either. Maybe Steve can help. I know we got the contract for the water supply project. And that's just the preliminary contract. It's not the final one. Just moving forward. Is that correct, JR? Do you remember it?
I've read quite a few contracts of recent. I might need a refresher.
For the East Central Water, or for the Red River Water Supply Project, it is the preliminary that, yes, we're buying and we intend to buy forward. Or,
That sounds correct, yeah. It was just a preliminary then.
right, it's not actually spending money, so.
Correct.
I know that's something that they wanted to get done, so I don't know if that's something you want to talk more about tonight, Nicole, or should we wait?
Let's wait. Kind of want to do a little bit of
Okay.
discussions with the group.
But I know we probably should get that finished up.
I
Okay,
think the date coming up, isn't there, that needs to be approved by?
that's what I was thinking, so.
My curiosity, I think for me is if that Garrison diversion ties in with us or not from the water supply type of thing, paying, you know, to own whatever that is, plus this on top, what that does. It's more my question. So if they build it, do we need to purchase from the Garrison or from that project. So those are some of the things I think I'd like to ask and figure out.
I can get you hooked up with somebody you can just answer.
That'd be great.
All your random questions instead of having to come into the meeting for everybody.
Right, yep. No, that would be great if you could do that. Thanks, Steve.
He didn't. I know it's soon, but I don't see a date on it.
There is a date, I'll find out what it is, I'll let you guys know, there's a date because they need the commitment, Garrison Diversion needs the commitment from the private partner, the public partners that are joining in order for them to, State Water Commission to release funds for
Right.
the next phase of construction, I think it is. I can't remember what the date was.
Oh, being asked to sign by July 31st, 2024.
It's from yours.
So we do need kind of. So our total commitment on this, whether we, is 135,000 thereabouts. That's our principal. We could pay that all at once, or we could pay it over the time. But that is the total amount that we're buying to guarantee that we're getting 0.5 CFS of water coming from the whole project, which will come down the Garrison Diversion. Because they're, if you remember right, they're pumping it from in the McCusker, or
Coming out of the McCusker
Canal.
Canal, it's going to be 120 miles to Cheyenne.
Yep,
And it's going down to Cheyenne.
and then it comes around. Which
It all depends on where your connection is.
Which it doesn't mean that we have to use it, because one of the things that was in there that caught my eye, currently if everybody sticks in, it's 100% committed for, and there's already 105%, there's another 5% that is being asked for, so above and beyond. So even if we don't use it, we could sell our, or lease our rights to somebody else. We're already still committed at this point. If we back out, we won't get that commitment. We can't go back in, but we can drop out again. We just can't, at this point, can't. If we don't sign and have it in, then we're not gonna get in. Because there's Washburn wants another 0.11%, Breckenridge wants 3.39%, Lakota wants 0.45%.
In addition to what they've committed to.
In addition to what they've already committed, and Oaks wants 1.35%.
So if we were to decline, they would
That
pretty much
ours
be
would be
ours.
picked up, yep.
Yeah.
Our percent is 1.19% of the whole cost, so that would be picked up fairly quick.
That's paid over how long?
Over 30 years? Let me double check.
I think it was 30.
Go up every year
Yeah,
It goes up.
in increments.
as construction gets built.
And we don't have to pay it in right away because it's paid off. The Bank of North Dakota is covering part of this for a while. So we start paying in 2027. And it would be,
It wasn't a very high amount at that time, was it? Didn't it?
no, it's not. 1451.
You listed off some cities there that would buy, and I heard the city of Fargo was wanting to buy a penny remnants too that were available.
Excuse me, it's 2064 is when it's done, so 2027 to 2064. And we start with 1,000 and then it goes up to 33 by the end. Or like I said, we could pay it all once and then we don't pay any principal on it, so. But that's something we can decide later down the road.
What's the total amount to be paid all at once?
135.
135,
135, yeah.
which isn't bad. So do we just need
We
to
just-
vote on a commitment?
On this memorandum of understanding for
Oh.
allowing me to sign the memorandum of understanding. And then the final, the contract that JR will love to read because I heard it's 500 pages.
Yeah, it's currently still changing.
Oh,
That says it there. I'm refreshing. Yes, I did read this. It's everything you just said. So.
yep. And there's others like, because Fargo, and this helps, if this helps you understand, Fargo and Grand Forks have already paid their share and helped get this going. Now it's just the rest of the communities helping, which is Agassiz Water District, Barnes, Carrington, Central Plains, Cooperstown, Dakota Rural Water, Devils Lake, East Central, Forum, Grafton, Greater Ramsey, Rural, Hannaford, Lisbon, Mayville, McLean, Sheridan, Macville, Northeast Region, Water, Park River, Richland County, JPA, South Central, Southeast Water Users, Stutzman's, Tri-County, Tuttle, Valley City, Wapton, Walsh, Rural Water, Washburn, Breckenridge, Lakota, and Oaks.
And just from prior discussions and things like that, if I understand correctly, we don't need water, but we need water. It's a continual kind of build thing, if I understand correctly.
Correct.
And so, if we can always sell it, to me, it makes sense to
It's one of these
have
things,
that commitment.
it's one of those things where we can't go back 20 years and get the water, but we can make a
Right.
decision that'll put us in a good situation 20 years down the road.
Because if we don't use it and others are needing more.
And it may be something that we can trade where they take our half there and we can get more allocation out of the aquifer. It could be traded or used. Is that correct, Steve, that we could?
Yeah, there's like for example, what you're working on right now with East Central and the cattle
Yeah.
farm, wherever it's going up. If something like that happened where they needed more water for that, you could allocate your percentage to East Central to use for that.
Okay, that's what I'm.
Or you can sell your water through that.
Right. In which we can get our money back on it, so.
Make the motion to move forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole, moved by Jason. Any other discussion? Paul?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Any yes from the motion carries. Okay, next we'll go to Jason.
Spoke to the sheriff last week. He did get in touch with Circle of Friends. Good news and bad news. Good news is we're on the top of their list of places that they're willing to work with. Bad news is right now they're stuck at 4 employees, so until they get more staff, it won't be an option. But she did say that she would stay in close touch with Steve, and she was actually the lady that did the original contracts with the communities, so she's familiar with them. I don't have a dollar amount or a timetable, but they were going to stay in contact and see where their staffing goes. So, trying to think Then the only other thing I have is just checking in to see if we have any, if we were able to do any research on the street striping possibility. So that was my only question on, from the office.
Okay. John, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, so, response to that, Jason, I did, check with Jim Anderson on companies he's used. He said he hadn't ever had anybody stripe it. He said the school used to use a guy in town here to do theirs, but he gave me a couple of options to get estimates from, and one of them is Oy that's doing the street repairs. And the other one is Advance. I can reach out to them and get an estimate. We know, like, which streets we want, just Main Street or California?
Yeah, it would just, to me, my opinion would just be, what the sheriff's office would be wondering is the section of parallel of angle parking here in front on Main Street.
Okay.
Just so that we don't have people parking every which way and it's not clear in the ordinance as far as, that I found. I guess I could do some more digging too, but we haven't been able to find anything where we'd be able to issue any citations or anything for the.
So, I mean, as far as that goes, I can proceed as far as getting estimates from those two companies, and we can bring
Back a
that to
long
the
time
table.
ago, did they parallel park on both, or, yeah, on both sides, right, diagonal all the way down?
Yeah, both ways.
Is there a reason why we don't now, still?
Is there a reason we don't? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a long one for him. I wasn't in on those discussions.
Before my time too.
I'm just curious if like we extended the sidewalk and it maybe narrowed the road or something, because I've noticed a lot of people park straight here and then diagonal here, but you'd get more parking if it were all diagonal. But I don't know.
Cars got bigger. Maybe the cars got bigger.
Pickup's got longer.
Pickups got longer.
Less horses.
Less buggies.
I mean, if you want me to test the
Model
diagonal
A's
on the
only
other
15 foot
side.
long, pickups are 22.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
That was it.
Okay. Paul?
On the electrical side, we have, Roy's been busy trying to get our truck stocked up with the tools and safety equipment that we need. He's been going around assessing our electrical things that we need done, visiting with Jim and Sam and Brian and them, and he's getting a lot of that, getting a list together and a plan. He also spent a lot of time last week visiting with the vendors, getting his face out there so they know who he is when he calls. So, and we'll be working on, we talked a little bit today, they're going to be working on some street lights and trying to get those going. We're also going to be looking at trying to get something done with some of the outlets that we talked about earlier on the poles, earlier this spring, I think it was. And then he's got some projects that they're working on with Sam. Got a couple projects, a boring project and some other things that they're working on. So, and then Jim also met with the gals at the office, and hopefully we have a new plan on load controls going forward that'll succeed, and I'm confident that the city gals will get it taken care of. So I hope that they have good luck with scheduling people, and so if you haven't, those letters already went out, right?
On Friday, they did.
Yeah. So you should have, if you didn't get a load control put in, you'd be looking for a letter, and please call back and schedule an appointment, or at least if you have questions, to call into the city office, because now we have that local contract, or contact here. You don't have to call someplace in Florida or Texas or anything. It's right here, so. And there's also a way to do it without calling in, correct?
Yep.
You have a QR code.
Yep, you can scan the QR code, or you can use the link that's in the letter. It's easier if you can use the QR code, though. It's also on our Facebook page.
So they're scheduling Thursdays and Fridays, correct me if I'm wrong. So now through when?
Now through the very last Friday in September.
So that'll be as long as this gentleman keeps on task here, that will be our final deadline. And after that, as long as he sticks with us and everybody has had the opportunity to schedule, their work done, at that point, we would probably be putting that $50 charge in for those that haven't scheduled or are pushing back to do it. So it's going to be very reliant on, he gets this done. You know, if we come September and he's way behind and he's been busy on them, we obviously won't find anybody that's trying to get theirs done. So let's hope that everybody gets on this and we can hopefully get this finally finished. Hopefully this electrician will be a little bit more reliable than the others, and we can get this done. And also, if you have been inspected before too, and they weren't able to put it in, there will be a separate notification of those people on how we're going to approach those, where it was more than just pulling out the load control and putting in a new one. This where they maybe didn't have one at all, and they have to have a new one wired in. So we're also looking at how we're going to deal with them, kind of letting the electrician kind of get familiar with everything, and hopefully that'll be able to be done. So please follow up on that if you haven't had your load control replaced. I'm sure Levi will have some stuff on beautification. HEDC meets on Monday, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Beautification, if you looked around, there's some trees with some orange X's on it. Those are the ones that were marked. We have only had one that I've heard of that reached back out and said that they didn't want it even after we had sent letters out. So hopefully at the end of the month. And we also put in there that a number for contact if anybody else has some trees that they want taken out as well that they could use. We are working on getting some of the areas cleaned up. If you notice, we finally got some grass, be able to go in and cut those up and get cleaned up, and so we'll be billing those. We are planning to charge it at $100 an hour. I just want us to approve that so that it's set as a rate that we charge $100 per hour prorated. So if it's 61 minutes, it's $200 to cut.
This is for the overgrown lawns, you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I would say probably even per person, because if we have 2 guys or 3 guys working out there, it takes them a while sometimes. I don't know, how long did it take Jay just to do the cleanup? A couple hours?
Probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys have it written down and brought it up yesterday.
We spent 2 hours just cutting grass on a mower, so, plus the cleanup on one of the properties.
So we didn't have the rate previously?
We just don't have the rate set. We have the ordinance and we have the authority to do it, we just haven't said how we're charging it, so.
So we're figuring that $100 covers like 3 people per an hour. That's how we
That's up
arrive
to you
at that
guys.
rate, or?
Well, that's equipment and everything we're charging at $100.
So if you had 3 people and it took 61 minutes, that would be $200 per person? I don't agree with that.
There's how many?
How many that we've done?
Yeah. or-
3.
So you've done 3?
We hope that we don't have to do it, that's the whole goal of this. We don't want to add this on. Or it can be $100, I mean, just 100, I don't, it's up to you guys.
I would think at most we'd bill at half-hour increments or something. I just, to charge a whole nother hour for 1 minute over, that's, I don't know how that sits with me.
Are you looking at the ordinance, Joe, or
Anybody else
you were reading
thoughts?
something else intently?
For some reason, I thought we had set this prior, but I don't see it, so.
Okay.
I know it's in the ordinance, I put it in there, so.
A price?
No, the authority to set it by resolution.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I didn't know if you were looking for a price or something.
no.
It was just something we missed on that sheet, because it's not something we've never, we were just going by what, when we said 100, and, because that's what Harwood had, Casey had previously billed it as when she was in Harwood, so.
Yep, it was $100 per hour, and if we went into the second hour, whether it was 1 minute or 59 minutes, it was another $100, is what we did there.
What do you guys think?
What's the rate for people to do that? Anybody know? Anybody had somebody mow?
I'm too cheap.
I'm just curious as to what a professional company charges.
Most charged by, that I've had in the past, they've just done it by how big your yard is and stuff. And obviously, they're not cutting it when it's
Right,
this
exactly.
tall, that's why an hourly rate needs to be.
Right.
Yeah, I can recollect most go by square footage, not by time.
And that square footage is when you got 3-inch grass, not 13-inch grass.
Because some of that grass had to go over 4 or 5, 6.
3-4 times,
Right.
just to try to get the knockout.
Yeah, I'm not against the rate per hour, but the billing increments. That's my thought.
Remember, this is it, and my feeling on it is that hopefully it stings enough the first time.
Oh, the $100 would have stung me enough the first time, but
You think
or
half-hour
minimum of-
increments?
what's that?
You think half-hour increments, like 50
That's
every
what I
half hour?
was thinking, and maybe even like minimum of 1 hour, but after that, I don't know, I just,
But I agree with the minimum, that's because you're trying to get to it a little bit too
Right.
early, but I don't, it's,
Yeah,
we have to have something for our equipment and our time, so
yeah.
if you figure that $50, that's probably adequate. Yeah, if you got 2 people there, that's $25 a piece, and that doesn't really, a lot for, you probably, I don't know how many mowers you had there, just one, I'm assuming, and the other ones were cleaning up, or, so.
and two, I mean, I agree with the per person. Because that's 2 employees that's taking that amount of time to do it, or 3 or whatever. It's a hard pill for me to swallow that it goes over by, say, 5 minutes, and especially like, say we had 3 people out there, that 5 minutes just costs another $300.
You could say $100 an hour for the mower and $50 an hour for anybody that's doing cleanup work.
I'm good with the 100 per person per hour. It's the increment billing.
So per half hour?
That'd be easier for me to swallow.
Okay.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
At what point does that time start, I guess, when they arrive on the property, essentially? Yeah, I'd say $100 per an hour, 1 hour minimum, half an hour increment after that.
Be all right with that?
Okay. And it's per person?
Per person.
Okay. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to do the $100 per hour per person, minimum 1 hour and 30-minute increment charge billing.
Okay. Any other, is there a second? Second.
What's the half-hour increment set at?
Would be $50 every,
50 per person?
so $50 per half hour, or $100 per hour. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by John, seconded by Paul. Any other discussion? Nicole?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Any yes for me? Motion carries. Next item that I have is, I did speak with with Jim this weekend. And so we have kind of a deadline, or we have a date set and some questions for you guys to make a decision on. Jim has still quite a bit of overtime, or vacation day is and 6 days yet. So we would put his last day as the last payroll day, which is next, the
21st.
That would be the 22nd.
Yep.
The 22nd, because the 21st is a Sunday, would be his last day, and then we would pay him through the month. Then he had asked,
This is July.
July, yeah. He would ask to get paid, instead of doing one lump sum, to pay out for his health insurance for his family for 1 year, which when we do the numbers, it works out pretty close to the same. And then if we needed him, which he is willing to come back and help out, we would just pay him as a stipend of $50 per hour. Which we can't see a ton, but I know the guys would like to have him back once in a while if there's questions or a few things that may come up, so.
So we're looking at him being retired and still paying his health insurance?
Correct.
Through the end of the year.
What's that? Through the end of the year?
Yeah.
For 1 year.
We normally do?
1 year.
For 1 year. We've done that for.
That's for not paying him out, though, right?
That's for not
That's not
paying
paying him
him
out.
out.
We're not paying all the salary and then his health insurance. We're using some of his salary to pay his health insurance. Is that right?
Correct.
In exchange of.
In
Exchange of, because per our policy, you generally can pay out, the day you retire, you get paid out, and he just preferred for us to keep him on the health insurance for a year.
Oh, so he's actually gonna kind of still be considered an employee?
Kind of, yeah. But we
Okay,
pay
I
him
gotcha. I see what
$50.
you-
But whenever he comes, consultant, whatever you want to call it, but when he comes in, then he would be paid $50 an hour for consulting fees.
Gotcha.
So if you're willing to accept that, I just need a motion to approve that, and then,
I'll make a motion.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Paul, seconded by John. Is there any other discussion? Nicole's thinking.
I am thinking. I don't have a problem with the whole year, just if needed. Like, how do we know if it's needed?
Mostly it's gonna be reports, or, for example, until Zach finishes and gets his water treatment certification 3, technically we'll still be under Jim's.
Okay, so does that still accumulate vacation and things like
Nope.
that too then?
Nope.
It's just a $50 stipend?
Just $50. And that's, originally, we had talked about, we'd pay him whatever his salary is, but then Casey and I talked, and Jim talked with Casey, and we felt we're not paying any of that. It'd be like a PRN person type, so.
Just want to make sure I understand it.
Okay. Any other discussion? John?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Any yes for me? Motion carried. All right. Everybody should have the Public Works restructure. I forgot to put draft on it. I said I was going to, and I didn't.
You even wrote it on there.
I know. I don't know if it didn't enter right. So with that, Jason and I and Casey met with Zach and Jay this morning to talk about this. We've kind of touched around it, trying to figure out a plan how we're going to do this with Jim and not finding a ton of qualified applicants that we wanted. So I'll just kind of go over it, and then you guys can ask questions as needed. The last page, I'm sure most of you are probably interested in that. The top column, or the top section, that is what we're currently at. The bottom section is the proposed. So this whole thing, currently the way it sits, is about $2,700 more. The way that we would look at this is splitting it into 3 supervisor positions. Roy, which is already pretty much what we hired him as a supervisor position. Then Zach would be the water treatment plant area, wastewater would be his areas. And Jay would cover streets and grounds mostly. That doesn't mean that they're not going to work in all the other areas, but those would be what they are in charge of. And then we kind of have the employees split out. These percentages are just based on what we are figuring for budgetary reasons, not necessarily that's their amount of time they're specifically going to spend on each one of them. And then with that, we would look at opening up one more public works position.
That's that one on page 2?
That's the one on page 2, yep.
Okay.
The roles that 3 supervisors would be doing the leadership supervisor, so they're overseeing staff, any of the project management, and then resource allocation. They're going to make sure that the infrastructure is upkept. They're going to keep their areas where they're at. Oversee the delivery of those things, or what the guys are doing, and the equipment management. They're going to comply or do the compliance and safety. They're going to work with our public where they'll be the first go around. If something needs to go higher, then we'll move it up, which I'll go over that here in a little bit. They'll collaborate with the other offices. What we are going to change up a little bit, and they were okay with that, is on Wednesdays afternoons. We'd have Wednesday afternoon meetings with Casey, so those 3 would meet with Casey and her staff, or with Casey, kind of go over the plan for the whole week of what's going on. And then once a month, they would come in on the same Wednesday where the whole staff would sit down and do planning and training, those type of opportunities. So the structure would be that everybody HR-wise would fit under Casey and her staff, and at her office, she would take care of all the coordinating of the reports, the sick days, the planning, making sure that the evaluations are done, coordinating the on-call, the weekly meetings, supervision, and then the once-a-month staff trainings. We'd also ask that the 3 individuals meet at least once a month with the commissioner and portfolio holder. So if you have electric, Roy would meet at least once a month. If you have water, each one of them would fit in there once a month, just so everybody's on. The budgeting and finance, it's not that they have to do everything, but they're going to help filter through, and I think those Wednesday meetings will help with that. Same thing with reporting and record keeping. Some of it they'll do, like the water treatment plant. Zach will probably be doing them, but Casey will just making sure that they are being done and turned in on time. a lot of their time will be spent out in the field. It's, ultimately, we are moving more towards a city manager type role for Jim's job, but we're not big enough to get there. Someday we maybe can. With that, the one thing that did change a little is in the plan, they had asked for, I had planned for $5 an hour. They are asking for a little more than that. They're asking for an $8 for each of them to cover the extra duties. So it'd be a little bit different. I wouldn't see. Let's see. So that would cost us about $17,000 more a year. We talked about another position with that, maybe not having enough for some of them to do, but we felt overall, having that extra person to do some of those things, we maybe won't have to contract out as much, and some of the other projects that we have going on to help out. So we'd be spending, like I said, $17,000 more than we budgeted for this year. And that's for a full year, which I suppose you cut that in half. Because the spreadsheet that I showed you was for a full year, not for half a year. So I suppose you take 17,000, divide that by 2, and that's what it would cost us more for the year that we didn't plan for.
Is that including that open position?
That's including the open position, yeah. And that one was planned at $20 an hour, so starting at 18 to 20.
That position's already full.
No, this would be another position.
Well, then where's Billy?
Let somebody finally cut it, we missed it. But you have to remember that it's not gonna change because we missed them off of both of them, so.
Bill Otto?
Yep.
He's on the front here.
That's not the spreadsheet though.
Yeah, but he's not on the payment.
I missed him off the spreadsheet, so.
Sorry.
But he's off both of them, so obviously it's gonna be the same amount difference.
So one says, attend one commission meeting as needed to report off the work being completed in upcoming projects. So if they have their shared duties, is it just whenever they have a project to
Correct.
present? Or do you want just one of them
It'd be as needed, so
and get the information from them?
if we have, say, maybe the water treatment plant has something going on, well then Zach maybe would come for that meeting. If we have something electrical coming up that more than Paul can explain, then we'd maybe ask Roy to come. Or if we're working on a street project and we want input from Jay, then we'd ask Jay to come. So it's not a set time, it's as needed. So. You guys have anything you want to add?
Try to keep it to a minimum, right, is our thought.
Anything you had thoughts on, questions? I would say thank you very much because I've been starting to notice the PO and the names of who's putting this in there, so it's easier for me to know what I'm signing for, so I thank you for that, very much so. Thanks, Casey. Somebody was doing it, I don't know who, but.
Thanks for doing it, you guys.
And I would hope the pay, if we decide to do that, would come on this pay schedule, so.
So you have Brian Hall listed as apprentice lineman and Colton listed as apprentice lineman? Current certification?
What's that?
You have current certification for Colton as apprentice lineman, and you've got current certification for Brian as apprentice lineman.
Correct. They're both in the apprentice part.
And why aren't their wages the same?
Yeah.
Because until we get that paper saying that he's apprentice, then that would go up. Which
And when is that?
Brian's,
And when is that?
he's working on it with Casey.
Is that the 10 tests? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, meet them.
He does he does have to do those, from what I understand, but there's a status that you can obtain through the North Dakota Electrical.
No, we just need something from the school saying that he's in as an apprentice.
There you go. So MMUA that he's going to.
Yeah. Because they're running the apprentice program, so as soon as they say that, yes, he is an apprentice. Which I did talk to him about too, so.
Thank you.
And he said he was gonna work with Casey to get that done, so.
I don't know, I struggle with that Brian thing. You know, this this guy stepped up and went to, and willing to go to electrical school, and now we bring this other guy in, and we're paying him a whole bunch, and then Brian sits down there doing the same thing he's doing, you know. I think we didn't treat Brian right. I think, that's just my opinion. I think this guy, he deserves a bump up to some degree, what that might be, and I don't know what the time frame is to get those qualifications that you're talking about. Maybe we need to find that out first, but I wouldn't approve this until something was addressed on that side, so. Because then I also have an issue a little bit with, I understand you have 40% electrical, 60% other areas, I understand that's for budgeting purposes, but I also feel bad because Brian stepped up for this, and now he has to share the duties of lineman. You know, he's got to share now, split those with somebody new. And I think that's completely unfair for Brian. I think Brian should get priority as far as what needs to be done there, and if they need two of them there, and Roy needs two, that's fine, but I think, you know, he stepped up and nobody else did. And I want us to appreciate that. That's my 2 cents.
My question is how we ended up with 3 linemen and, or, you know, 3 electrical people at those wages, and it's the first time hearing about it. I didn't realize these people, I mean, where's this money coming from out of our budget to bring on that additional guy at the dollar amount that he's at? And I agree with Paul too, then why is Brian down where he's at? Is our budget designed so that if we decided to bring in and have everybody have a lineman certification, we can just pay everybody lineman rates? I don't know how that's figured.
I had that question on a lot of other things before too, on water, and, you know, that too, so. That's a question probably for Casey, she does the books. Not for her tonight, but, not tonight, but to know. I think it's a great start, I think it's something we can look at, I think we can, you know, just spend a.
Well, this was not meant to decide on tonight, this was
Right.
just to.
So, but, I think you got a good start, I think we got a talking point, and I think that's what we do, is we just kind of look at things and make sure that we're not, because I understand completely the side of the lineman, if we're able to get somebody that's willing to do some lineman work too, that's going to help us obviously in the long haul, but we still have to make sure it's within our budget limits. And, obviously, Ray is older than these gentlemen, so he's going to be gone before they are, so it'd be great to have 2 linemen, journeyman electrician, when the time comes, if our budget can support it.
Well, I can tell you that part of that, you have to remember that we have a retirement, which was a big money change from what it currently was, so. So it may seem like a big thing, but it really isn't based on how we're changing.
Well, when you're changing salaries like that, that is a big thing.
Right, it is, but what I'm saying is if you look overall in this, what John was at and what we're moving the new person in at, it is not a huge gap like you're thinking it is.
But now we're setting a new bottom line, like somebody leaves and we bring them in,
But we're not. We have set it in policy. That's why as soon as Brian can show his certification, our policy says that that certification gives that person X amount of dollar raise.
and I understand that part, but I have a problem looking at this new gentleman that was brought in and hired as a lineman making like Paul said, more than Brian. But B, looking at this with the new proposed rates, even for the supervisor positions, he's making more than the supervisors. And he's brought in not to do a ton of lineman work, from my understanding.
That's the rates that we had set in the policy from before. I can't. What are we supposed to go off of?
Should be hiring the positions that we need, like I said. So my question is, what happens if we have 7 employees over there and they're all certified linemen? We have that in our budget? Our policy says that we have to pay them that.
The same thing can happen with water treatment as well, or wastewater, or any of those.
So we just have an unlimited budget for salaries?
I'm not saying that we do, but we have to also make sure that we have, you don't see on here who has wastewater and water treatment on there, and some of them are working towards it. So do you want to stop doing that?
But to me, looking at these salaries, lineman is drastically more than any of those other certifications.
And unfortunately, that's what we have to pay a lineman to get somebody in.
That's my question, Levi, is do we need 3 linemen? Wages.
How many linemen do you need every time you go out? 2. So if one of them's gone, that already sets us back. So I would think that having...
I want to know where this money's coming from. That's my next question.
Well, I think that's where we have Casey just kind of figure out where we're at on that, and we're not making any action on this tonight, but, we figure, and it's not like Levi said, the money that you had before, according to this, is missing Billy, but your totals was $640,000 last year, and now it's $642. So you're basically dealing with the same numbers. It's just that you're moving more around because you're getting rid of 38 and 28. So you're losing those 2 and creating another. You have 2 positions, but they're not getting. The one isn't getting paid.
A lot of times too, that those salaries are getting kept a little bit in check because of new people coming in that are starting at the bottom and then building their way back up. That's what I'm saying. To me, this is kind of like a new bottom then, because
But it's not a new bottom, because it's 18 is what he is starting at, and then per our policy, it's $20 for electrical lineman. So if another person came in without any certification, anything, they would start at 18.
So was there any discussion on this gentleman coming in with his lineman, that he was going to get paid for lineman, or, because my understanding was that he was coming in as a city employee, or as a streets guy or whatever and gonna help out with her occasionally. I didn't realize that.
Well, that's what he was, that's the main reason that he was hired was that, but he was also going to be doing line work, and but that, where the problem comes in is the fact that we, our personnel, it says we have, if he has those lineman credentials, we have to pay him that, and that's where it comes back to, that's another subject, is, do we have to do that? You know, obviously, if we want to hire him as a lineman, we would have to do it, or he would never come here for $21 an hour.
Right.
So, but that's where you have to take a deep dive into your handbook and say, okay, are we gonna pay somebody this? Are we just gonna set the pay, are we gonna set the wage as we need it? You know, and that's the problem with some of those things, is you set it, okay, if I wanna hire this guy for this particular job, and I'll pay you $38, I'll pay you $30. I don't have that set wage in there. But it also, but the other side of that is it deters people from getting a lineman or getting a water plant certification. So it's kind of like this, you know, okay, I want them to better themselves in order to get better pay and be more qualified, but if they don't know what they're working for, I'm not going to go and get lineman certification if I'm not going to get paid a lineman wage.
Oh, agreed, and that's why I say I'm looking too at the other employees and stuff that don't have the linemen, and I mean, yeah, obviously there's room for them to work up. I think we need to look at, I think we need to take a peek at that. Something, and to me, I guess it'll kind of tie into my special meetings discussion as well.
Well, I think to me I look from a different standpoint. If we need somebody to get water certification, we offer that. If we need a lineman, we offer that. We just don't offer it across the board just because it's part of the, you know, when those times come when we need a lineman, we have to offer that in order to get them.
Right.
And if we're short people for water certification, well, if we want them to go get it, we're going to have to pay them. But, you know, just to get it for the sake of getting it, that makes the budgeting a little bit different, because I can go out and get it. You know, I may not need it, I may not use it. If I'm the fourth one down the line at the water plant, how important it is to have 4 people, that's for the guys to determine that, you know, but, you know, I see both sides of it, and my biggest thing is that I think if the budget supports it, that, you know, it's good to have good trained people on staff. Do I want a $38 an hour guy running a plow truck? No, but guess what? When we need him to go out and do line work, it's dang nice to have him. You know, so the problem is we're not a big enough city to keep a lineman busy 365 days a year, or we don't have a big enough water plant necessarily to keep somebody out there all the time, but we need these people, and how do we get them? So we're just, you know, either we gotta be smaller or bigger.
Right, and I understand that, and I agree with that, but like I said, there's such a difference for the lineman thing, so like you said, we don't have enough work to keep them busy necessarily for a year, now we have...
And we don't know that, you know, it's because it's something new, so we may be able to, I don't know.
And I agree, it's gonna see where it falls on the budget, but I'm just worried that we're gonna be asking for more taxes again next year, saying we gotta increase our salaries budget.
Right, yeah. So, I think it's a conversation that we have moving forward next time we hire, and I hope you don't have to hire.
Jason, to be blunt and honest, if we have to raise our taxes, our property taxes, it's not because of our salaries, it's to pay the sheriff's department.
Really?
I'm just pointing that out. It comes out of the general fund. That is, as much as we pay in the contracting, that's what it costs. We don't go above and beyond that, but that is a lot of where our general fund...
It's a little different conversation, because that's a budget for a contracted service.
That's not a conversation for now.
I'm just saying, Jason.
That's pretty weak to throw that out there. That's what I'm gonna say.
But you're saying salaries, to go after more sales tax, but it isn't.
Levi, just drop it.
Okay, so we're just gonna table this and try and have a couple of discussions.
Go over it tomorrow, or
I just have one quick question for Zach and Jay is, Can you just kind of lay out for me kind of what your guys' thoughts since our meeting this morning that took it from kind of maybe that 5 to that 8 range? Not against it, just kind of want to hear your guys' input.
I wasn't quite sure about the 5 at that time. I didn't disagree with their review of it, just wanted some time to think about it. And, I had a number kind of where I saw it at, and I was over 10. I was thinking about 10, and I got somewhere in the middle at 8. I thought that was fair with more responsibilities, is where I landed on it.
And that's where we kind of asked, we could table it tonight.
Right, yep.
So we could visit,
Absolutely.
over what we're really gonna have to take on, because we sat down with you to find out what our responsibilities are gonna be.
Right.
And then we just kind of visited about that, but how much more we're gonna have to.
Sure. Nope, I get it. Thank you.
Kind of what we came up with mutually.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Steve, I'll let you come up next.
All right. Well, I'm just going to give you a quick update on the projects that we got going on right now. The pedestrian bike path that goes across, or goes up to the edge of the interstate, that was a fast project. They got all of the sidewalk in like 2 different concrete pours. Right now they have just a couple tie-ins for the 2 driveways that they did put in, and then they gotta wait 3 to 5 days for the concrete to set up, and then once they get a cylinder break to pass, they'll switch traffic over to the new driveways and then pour the other 2. They're gonna come in tomorrow morning and do a little bit more concrete work, and it'll probably be end of the week or beginning of next week before they actually do the last couple driveways. But I'm impressed with their work. They came in really hard, and a lot of people they had knew what they were doing. We had to remove a little bit more concrete than we had in our plan originally. Like one of the spots was when we tied on to Riverwalk's sidewalk. It had a 3% cross slope, and we had to level it out to 2%, so we had to take out like 13 feet of that existing 4-foot sidewalk, 5-foot sidewalk we had there. But once we figure out all the bid tab items, there's some pluses and some minuses. We'll see how it all fits.
How thick is that thing, 6 inches or?
The new one?
It's new sidewalk.
It's 5 and 7 on the driveways.
But even the sidewalk looked pretty thick, I thought.
What's that?
Even the sidewalk, I thought looked pretty thick.
Yeah. They'll be able to drive it, there's no pulse.
Shouldn't have any problem with golf carts, right?
When you look over there, it looks pretty, like it's gonna be a pretty fun roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Water and sewer project, we got a walk through with Levi last week. And we got a final punch list for Ryan Block to finish up some seeding and a little bit of cleanup. Would like to get him to get that done and get that project finished. The storm sewer master plan, Jesse's working on finalizing the stormwater report for that, and we'll button that up. And then as you guys have, get closer to doing some stuff like adding ponds or something like that, we have the model and everything, so we can work with it. We just want to get it finished up where it's at and get you guys a copy in your hands. So that should be coming shortly. Lead service line inventory. We have a meeting on Tuesday, July 23rd. It's a closeout meeting. And I don't remember who all was invited to that. But Rachel sent out an invite to everybody that was working on that.
Is that getting done quite a bit, or how's that? Where are we at on that then?
What percentages are we at for that? I don't know.
Okay.
And then Boulder Creek Drive, brought a task order for that. We're going to look at doing a preliminary engineering report for that. And part of that report, what we would do is topo the whole road from Caledonia all the way to the river, and then we'll come up with a preliminary design for the road and look at the storm sewer, that ditch along the west side of that is holding some water. We'll figure out what's going on there, get that out. They will get you a report that has design options and costs. So then once you guys find some money or some grants or something and want to pursue that, we'll have that ready to go. And if that moves into a final design for construction, we have the survey done, we have the preliminary design done, so then it'll be easier just to roll into the final design and get the plans and specs and all that put together. The more you do up front is less you got to do in the back, but that's that much more money you got to put up ahead of time, I guess. As part of that design, we'll look at concrete road, asphalt thickness, doing a preliminary gravel road and coming back and paving it at a later date, or just come up with some different options and some costs for it. Any questions on that? We had $16,000 down for it, $9,500 for the study and the report, and then $6,500 for the topo.
What do you think, John? Because you may be looking at this, we just want to have this, so if there is a grant or something that comes available, we have all this work done.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Then you'll have that, and you can submit that with your grant. Pursue the money that way instead.
That's the advantage of doing it now versus when the grant is already out and gone.
You gotta track me down, and we gotta get work done.
Because there is, I would potentially see that there'd be a grant coming out again. It seems like this ag infrastructure grant from Department of Ag that was funded through the last legislative session. I think the way it sounds, it would be coming again, but hopefully they'll open it up to cities. And the things that they need when you apply is you have to have a detailed construction and cost estimate, location map, cross-section of roadways, so all this stuff that Steve is going to have done ahead of time, it's ready to go, which hopefully would come in sometime in the next biennium. So.
And as far as we determined that road is kind of the city responsibility, right?
We did, yeah, Casey looked at it, and we determined that it was, so.
Okay.
The other thing that I did ask Anchor when we talked to him a little bit was that if we do anything, we'd ask that they annex in the rest of their property. Which they may do that anyways, I don't know, but.
Yeah, I mean, I drove out there after Levi talked to me on it. That road is not in good condition at all, and that was right after they tried to fix it. You know, the truck traffic they have on that road, pretty significant. Some repair needs to be made, otherwise you're gonna be dumping money into it, probably more than the 16 grand every year.
I know, Jay, you guys put a few loads out there to try to help a little bit.
Yeah, we brought in, probably 8, 9 loads.
Looks like after this rain, you can have more, huh?
As fast as I can smooth it out.
Once it dries up and
Did that.
you think we should go ahead with this task order?
I would say just because that road's gonna tie into that new addition and people are gonna start using it and they're not gonna be happy with trying to drive through all the ruts out there.
You looking for a motion to approve this task order?
If you want, yep.
I'll make a motion to approve this task order.
Paul makes a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jason, any other discussion?
We gotta figure out something out there, you know, I don't know what the answer is gonna be, but this is gonna help us get there a little bit. It's a disaster. If it's our responsibility, it's a disaster out there, and they're an important business to our community, and if that's our responsibility, we got to look at some options. So I'm glad that you see that. So,
John?
Yes?
Paul?
yes,
Jason?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Any yes for me? Motion carries.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, Steve. JR, anything tonight?
Nothing for me.
Casey?
You guys touch base on, I think, all of my topics, so nothing
Okay.
right now.
you stole your thunder, is what you're saying?
You did, that's okay.
First, all right. We'll go into old business. Way bids for the streets.
You're up again, John.
So, tabled that because we were looking at if we had enough money.
We had enough to do it, which we do in the municipal infrastructure fund. It's just whether or not you want to do all of that, part of it.
So the one question I had on these particular, maybe two questions, is number one, is this the only bid that we have? Is there no one else that can supply bids for this? And the second one is, does it have anything to do with any part of the sewer that needs to be replaced or repaired?
Is there sewer that needs to be replaced or repaired?
Well, if you do this, you know, is it in an area where, so that's what I need to figure out. Steve's gonna look at it for me, because if we spend the amount of money doing it, it doesn't make sense to go back and do it again to repair or replace that sewer up there.
What do you guys think? You know where this is at?
We're talking about coming down
Caledonia? Not the whole thing, but
Sections all the way to the railroad track.
That's up to the railroad track, right?
up the railroad track, and I think it goes over to Dakota, maybe, somewhere in that area. Then out west by, right where I was talking this morning about that disaster out there, by Subway. So you guys might have some from when they just, because they just cleaned that out, right?
Right.
So
That,
they would-
well, they cleaned the one to, we don't have a lot of issues on Caledonia. I don't think we have any problem. It starts about the bank and then heads east to where the sewer is. Where there can be any kind of issue, but
You're talking the old Dakota Heritage Bank? That's where it starts?
yeah. But that's just from the car wash. We're getting a lot of sediment from the car wash.
That's not on Caledonia.
Just where it turns, it goes in. Yeah.
That's more on First, right?
That's sewer comes to get into Caledonia.
Like down by Reed and some through there. That's probably another issue that needs to be addressed. Maybe we should get together with Nicole on that.
Also, one thing we got is, we're waiting on the televised sewer reports to see what the sewers look like. Once we get that, you can kind of determine if there's any repairs needed under these pavement areas, but then, are these pavement areas just kind of gonna be a fix until we do a citywide paving, you know, and then we might do repairs to utilities anyhow.
I think it's part of it, because we can't, because of what are we realistically looking at doing a citywide one? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? You know, and my argument is we can't leave Caledonia the way it is for 5 years, much less a year. You know, and I don't want to throw away money either. I really
You
don't.
just need to be repaired even if you have to replace the utilities, might just happen.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, either everybody tolerates it the way it is, or you repair it. And, but the reality that maybe, I know I was talking to the guys, is there other way, I hear there's technology out there to line some of that stuff too if you need to, or that's sewer?
Yeah.
You know, it's starting to be more prevalent too, so maybe if there is an issue there in them areas and it's still in good shape when that time comes, maybe we look at that too. I don't know. I just, my feeling is, yeah, I don't want to throw away money either, but I don't, what are we going to do with it? We can't leave Caledonia like that.
Well, we won't be leaving it for years. Jetway's currently doing the sewer inspections.
Well, and you're not going to, and this probably won't get done until this fall. So if you were to have those inspections done in the next month or two, it probably, we can talk for sure when they would do this, but I don't think it was going to be until later anyway, so.
Well, the inspections are done, we just have to get the camera, the video, or a lot of it is done.
Do you get that then, Steve, or
No.
who reviews those?
I think they did that when they were putting the gas line in, right?
Yep. So we're just,
They cameraed everything when they did the gas line.
But who's going to look at that to determine whether or not what the lifespan is of it? Who gets to make that $1 million decision?
Were they gonna look at it, or did you want us to look?
we haven't figured that out yet, we just talked about it. Haven't gotten any farther than that, because that was later, or mid last week, so. We have to reach out to them first to see if we can get it, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Which maybe Nicole will want to sit and watch it all.
I mean, I got spare time.
I don't know if they give it out.
That's the gas company that has that?
Yes.
Dakota Natural Gas has it?
They're the ones that recorded it all.
That's what I'm asking.
When they install the gas, their main concern is sewer lines.
Sewer lines?
They get in there, get into the house. So they had it all camera to make sure that they worked.
I can check and see.
You want to work on that?
Yeah.
And I don't know
I have a
how
contact.
excited they're excited to get their footage out to us. I don't know.
I'll check.
So they did that themselves, or did they have somebody else?
That was
They do it
just-
themselves? Yeah, good luck with that. Maybe a price.
So what do we want to do with the oil? Do we want to do all? Do we want to do part? Do we want to hold off?
I'm in favor of doing it all, but that's just me. I know we could be, having to come back and fix it in whatever years, but unless you have a plan to do this in the next year and a way to keep people happy. It's only going to get worse. If we don't do anything with it this year, come back, look at what it's like this spring, look at what it's like now.
I was just wondering if I could get the footage before like the next
Yeah.
meeting to be able to decide the next meeting.
And if there's no need for this to be decided, if they'll still honor this bid, I know I asked them last meeting if they would honor it till this meeting.
That they extended it to this meeting, was
Right,
it?
right, so I don't know if they'll extend it again or not, I'd have to. So,
Well, we don't have anyone else to do any comp bids for this either. There's no other asphalt
that would be
companies
a
to provide
question,
bids?
I would think if they had somebody readily available, he'd ask them, so. Yeah, that's, I don't know, unless you guys know of somebody else that does that kind of work, so.
That has time yet this year?
Right, so. I think they do good work, don't they? They seem like they're pretty good, so,
I think that's what we had last year.
right, so.
Would you like to make a motion for that, Paul?
I'll make a motion.
Paul makes a
to do-
motion.
It's $295, right? And it's coming out of,
Municipal infrastructure fund.
Does this
So did
generate
you want to-
specials to the,
Or did you want it to come out of the
does
prairie
not
dog?
generate specials?
well, that's what that is, I think, isn't it?
Correct.
Prairie dog?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
there a second?
Sometimes not.
Okay.
I'll second.
And give them money.
Properly moved and seconded.
Top one.
Is there any discussion?
Thank you.
John?
Just, if you could get that and find that out in those areas we're at, that wouldn't take long to determine if we get that footage for at least that area we're doing. If there's some major concerns, you know,
Well, the only section that you're redoing everything is from
right over here. Yeah.
just this.
Yeah, right. So it's not like we're doing 10 city blocks.
Right, right.
That's
So we
all.
make sure that all the valves work though before we do that? So we don't have that fiasco again in the middle of the winter tearing them all up?
That's just a hole in the ground.
Learn from our mistakes, is what he's trying to say? Or?
There's no, back here, so there's no sewer in any of this. Nothing there, same thing for Dollar General, we can check that map. But this.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Did you get a second?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
John?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. New business, we have the Moorhead Public Service Agreements. That would be a contract, and Paul can talk more about this, but a contract with them, very similar to what we have with Missouri River, very similar to what we have with Nodak, and hopefully JR was able to take a look at it, and it looks okay. But it's basically just when we need them to come up and help us with the electrical part of it. It's a contract and what rates we are using and how we're doing it. So if there isn't any questions, I just need a motion to approve.
Can you give me a little bit of insight as what this is?
It's basically a contract, the same thing that we have right now with Barnesville,
Okay.
to come and help with maintenance. And then basically, this is just giving our hourly rate, what they have. We're a little bit higher than what Barnesville is, but who knows, when we do Barnesville's in Missouri, they'll probably be higher too. But, so the gist of it is that, and you can tell me, Jer, if I read into it wrong, is that this is, all the work that they're gonna do, it just kind of, little legality type things, but it's mainly, this is what we're gonna charge you to come up. When you ask us to come up, whether it's an emergency or whether it's maintenance, this is what we're gonna charge you.
And this is electrician,
And this is
not
line work. Yep.
lineman.
This
so-
would be work that Roy would need more than 2 people to do. He would need a truck that we don't have. He would need a lift that we don't have. I'll use a perfect example is the transformer that's out by Anchor now that we're trying to replace. We don't have the equipment available to do that, whereas Moorhead does have that equipment, and they could bring that down. So it's basically it's giving us one more person right now. Nodak helps, Barnesville helps. This gives us one more person that if we need somebody to come in an emergency, that may or may not be able to come if Nodak can't come or whatever. So it's just giving us one more tool in the toolbox so that, and that doesn't get used, it gets used if we're, if we need it. It's always scheduled, so.
And if we had our own equipment and things like that, we wouldn't need this?
Right. Well, and more linemen. If we had 3 journeyman linemen and we had the equipment, we wouldn't need any of these places. But,
Okay.
so that's something that we're not gonna have, obviously, overnight.
Right away.
So,
And how long is this? Is this annually or?
I think most of them are, do you remember? I think it's most of them are
I don't
annual.
remember seeing this last
I think
year.
Missouri Rivers gets reviewed every year or 2.
I'll look and
August
see.
1st, 2025.
I know it has a 60-day notice cancellation provision, but
Okay,
you pay for what you order. So if we don't use it, we don't pay.
okay.
And a lot of it covers that we have them covered under our insurance and we're covered under theirs and all that.
Questions?
Selling editions, I actually don't know where they came from.
Oh, okay.
Just similar to what we already have with Barnesville. And
Right. They changed some of the words. I'm guessing it's a legal thing on some of the legal ease with all the red line. So they switched it for what they feel needs to be done. But the gist of it, even reading through that, it seems like it's pretty similar to the one we have now, right? Unless you saw something maybe different, I didn't.
Well, I believe it is the Missouri River one. They just
They just redlined it, yep.
Yep.
They redlined and they added, the blue is obviously a lot of added stuff too, so.
I think this is the final one.
But they are gonna be a little bit higher than Barnesville.
Right.
just because they have a lot more equipment than what Barnesville has, and
Probably newer
and
too.
they, right, and they probably pay more for them people, I don't know, so. But it seems like it's kind of within the going rates, it's all, none of it's cheap, so. But it might look really good if we're out of electricity and we need somebody to come, and they have the equipment, it might be pretty cheap. If NORDAC can come, or Barnesville or something, so.
We used to have several other contractors that we had, which we don't necessarily have those as many as we used to, so.
And the good thing about Morehead, they're like Barnesville, they're also a Missouri River customer too, so they're on the same team.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion?
One thing that Jim had asked, he said we should maybe have Terry just take a quick, just make sure he has no problems, so I guess I would make a contingent on, he's from Missouri River, he's the one that kind of reviews these, and make sure that there's nothing that he has concerns about. If there's nothing he has concerns about, I'd make a contingent on him.
I won't sign then unless he.
Until he gives us.
Does I hear his-
And I couldn't get a hold of him today, so I'm sure he might have been gone, who knows, so. But I'd like to make, because Jim had mentioned it, and because he has reviewed other contracts for them, so I think it would be a good idea to run it by him, and if he's okay with it, move forward. That's the only contingency I have.
Okay. Paul?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And a yes for me. Motion carries. North Dakota Insurance and Reserve Fund and tornado policy. Just wanted you guys to look at that, and if everything looks okay on it, we are able to approve. Is that
Got our
correct?
inventory out, right?
This has, yes, it has your buildings and
All that
general property.
rigmarole underneath?
Yep, it's got, yeah, all the buildings and grounds is what
Anything-
fire and tornado covers.
Were they able to, were these guys able to see any of that? If anything needed to be added, or you don't have any more, or?
You know, I looked at it compared to my inventory sheet, and I didn't see anything else that needed to be added.
Okay.
But no, I didn't show Public Works, didn't think about it.
Isn't it the pool washer you said Levi wasn't on?
That's a separate.
That's a separate? So that's pretty much similar then to other years?
Well, you have to remember, we just went over this
Yeah.
last year when we
Yeah.
switched, so.
Yep. Ryan Opdahl just wanted me to provide it to you guys and make sure everything was on there then.
Right. Yeah, it'd be nice to take this and go through the shop and stuff, you know, with it. Just double check it.
But that would be the inland marine more policy, not
More
this one,
than-
correct?
For, like,
Tools and
Inventory?
equipment and.
yeah, yep, liability.
That other one.
Yep, that's on a whole different
Right.
policy. Yep, this is just
Right.
strictly the
Buildings.
buildings.
Okay, unless there's anything on that, we'll approve that, I suppose, when the bill comes, correct?
Yep. If you
Okay.
have any questions between now and then, just let me or Ryan know.
Okay. We have the special meeting discussion. Jason had asked that to be put on, so I'll let you.
I guess my concern on that is just the special meeting that was called this last week on super short notice. I guess I was just, my thing is we all have full-time jobs, and my question is why we needed to call it on such short notice, where typically we've checked to see people's availabilities.
That was based on my availability to call. So that was the only day I had left.
So only your availability mattered?
I'm sorry, Jason, that I couldn't make it work for everybody. Sometimes special commission meetings, I tried to make it as easy as everybody possible, that you didn't have to be there in person. This way you could remote in and try to make it as late as possible to make everything work. I will try to do better in the future, but that's all I can say.
Well, I just asked because in the past, we've always gotten, you've always spoken to us individually to try to get what works for us, and came out of the blue, and all of a sudden we have an employee hired, and I didn't even know that we had an employee interviewed.
I don't know what answer you want. I didn't do it right this time.
All I'm looking for is I'd like the whole commission to be able to be involved in this stuff and try to plan it out far enough that it works for everybody. Because I think employee and usually matters that are being called, that a special meeting's being called, I think it's important that we try to get every commissioner involved that we can. That's all. I'm not here to make a big deal out of it. I just would like to try to, in the future, try to make it work better with more and more notice, stuff like that, because we all work different schedules.
Okay.
Point taken.
Anything else?
Nope.
Gravel on the south side of town.
Yep, this was a discussion point that was just brought up, and like you touched base earlier, I went up to the courthouse and did research. I can pull up a map, and,
You're talking that one that goes south of Valley Farms.
It'd be the whole way around, yeah.
Yeah.
just gotta find you guys' map here quick. Taking a while.
Are you looking for a map?
Yep,
I don't need a map. You know where it's at.
it's loading up.
But basically what Casey had found out is we have from Valley Plains Road to the curve, and then at the corner where the substation is, back into town. And then on the other side, we have all of Medicare Drive from Anchor down to basically right across from.
Yep.
So we gravel this whole south side of town? Or just those areas?
Just those areas.
Just
We
those
don't
areas.
gravel in between the curves
Okay.
and 81.
The railroad,
So that's the question we're trying to solve.
That's what we're looking
Well,
for.
so here's how I justify it for not graveling. You've got these properties, you've got, here, if you look up on the map, you've got all these properties right here. All of these properties pay taxes to your township. This pays taxes into the township. This road is not located on a city limit corridor. You know, so that black and white right there. County, justified it with me. I talked with Kayla Knutson and Deb, I can't remember Deb's last name, in the recorder's office. And that's just what it is.
I bet it's not 2%.
That's right.
I almost
But that
said
says we
yes.
weren't paying for, we were just graveling our areas.
Correct. This was the discussion that Bonnie had, though, was on this
Oh.
road right here for quite a while. So clarified it, this is what you guys should be working to gravel. This is a shared road. A lot of cities will do 50-50 shares with the township on it. It's up to you guys on how you want to handle it, though. There's no known documents stating how you want to take care of these shared roads. So, up to you guys after that. But yeah, with the exception of Bedecker over here, you can see that whole drive. I can make it smaller, but here's the drive. It's located within your city limit zone.
So it's more just clarification of what we actually do have.
So we're responsible going south of David to them.
Correct.
Yep.
And what's the arrangements now for maintaining that?
Well, if you guys want to readdress that with the township in a more formal manner, that might be a good start. It sounds like in the past it was a gentleman's handshake, that the city would maintain this section of road in exchange for the township maintaining this section of road. That might need to be a good discussion with Public Works and the township on how you want to handle that.
Who's going to have that discussion? John?
I'm on the street, so yes.
Okay.
Well, we just need to find somebody who's going to talk to them. And it's maybe fine the way it is. It's just making it so it's fair for each of us. Because obviously, if we got the same distance there and they got, I would guess that both them roads you've traveled a fair amount.
We just need to get it clarified again.
Yep, yep. So it's just a matter of clarifying it.
You get on that cell phone part, I mean, it's pretty, I'm assuming Valley Plains brings their equipment and stuff out there, they probably bring their trucks to offload the equipment too, but
And then also, it's a matter of only finding who's going to be responsible for what, but if that actually is a shared part there, do we look at, say, hey, we'll blade it one year, you'll blade it the next year or something, or whatever, on the shared parts.
Well, and the pavement does go down into there a little ways.
Just a matter of updating the handshake agreement
Yeah.
to something a little bit more formal.
especially when people start leaving, nobody knows what the
Right.
agreement was.
Right.
Okay. John will have you work on that.
We had contact people with the township board, or?
There is, I can get those for you.
Okay.
The next item, Tim Wright dropped this off for the commission to look at.
And I did talk to Tim a little bit too the other day. I think he's talked to a few people already. He's got that, looks like essentially a 1-foot curb that goes up into one of his doors there. You have the pictures up there, Casey?
Yep.
I guess I got,
You just tell me when to stop, okay?
yeah. Keep going down. Oh, this is a different.
That, he had 3 different concerns
Yeah.
that he
That
kind
one
of
was
put
the
into one.
beautification one, was it? Yeah, here.
You're talking about this one?
This one here, yeah. It's really hard to see on this picture, but I would say there's probably a good 20, 30 degree incline on that. So you literally can't drive anything up that unless it's the monster truck. So he's been wanting to keep utilizing that overhead door that you see there, but you can't get any, equipment or anything up there from the street. So it sounds like this was done in 2008 when they redid 200. And I'm not really sure how, and Steve's still here. Did you guys design this? You didn't design this project, did you?
We did, I think we did the utilities and GLJ did the paving, if I remember.
Okay. So that manhole cover, you think that has those rings on it to get it that high?
Hard to tell.
Yeah.
Put it up, I guess.
So taking it off. Because what he wants to do is all that concrete in the background there, you can see is pretty poor shape. He wants to replace all the concrete in front of his shop. But then he wants to be able to redo this area so that it makes it usable again to drive, a vehicle up into that overhead door. And, at the same time, if he brings in a concrete guy, perhaps that concrete guy does it at the same time possibly. Might save the city some money if we don't have to do it ourselves, but again, I don't know what we can do there because that sidewalk it's raised a little bit at that manhole cover, but not a lot. Then you're starting to change the dip of that sidewalk, which I'm assuming there's, I don't know if it's cold or whatever for city sidewalks. Yeah.
I guess my couple concerns, one is why was it engineered that way to start with? Is there a reason
Yeah,
that would have been engineered that way, or?
That's where I'd like to see the plans, why it
Yeah.
was made that way.
If they just went back to the right of way and then go on, and that was their property line, and then they slowed it down, I don't know. That's what the plan utility plans.
Yeah,
I think we did this storm and sanitary and water repair or something like that.
yeah, and that manhole, the storm manhole, at least that was the label on the cover anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, just curious if there's a plan on it and if we can figure out why it was engineered, maybe there are no stacked strings on it, or,
I mean, to drop it, they can always cut, you can always cut the barrel down.
okay,
We did on the barrel out front of Casey's there
right,
this week. It was too high, so we just concrete saw and cut it off.
okay.
Unless you get down to the part where it's wider or something, but you just have to look at it. See what's
Yeah.
going on.
Because it, right across the street, they have it down lower. They have another storm drain just like that one right across the street. This one's lower than the other one, so I don't know if something's sloping. There must be a drain, storm drain that goes underneath 200 there. Would that be normal, or would they?
Yeah, it runs south to north, the main line does, and then
Yeah.
it branches off to all the inlets.
Okay.
So is it the yellow arrow line, I'm assuming is city up to that
The-
manhole cover, and then past that is there?
Yeah, that's where that steep slope is, that 20% or whatever.
Yeah, I think the arrows, the red ones in the line there is, like you said, that's where the climb is.
That's where the cutoff is to their particular,
It's almost like a 2-foot high curve. But yeah, he's wanting to replace that concrete this fall. He said he hadn't got it 100% nailed down yet, but. And he hadn't checked with the concrete guy yet, whether he'd be, like, if you could cut that barrel down, if he'd be capable of doing that or not, but.
Well, we'd have to have an engineer looking at it, or somebody would have to prove it. We wouldn't just let a contractor go do it.
Right, yeah. Well, we need to look at the plan too.
Right,
There might be a
right.
reason why it's that way.
Yeah. If we look at the plan and there's a reason it can't be cut, that it couldn't be lowered down, I don't see why we don't entertain a bid on it at least.
Right. Yeah, just trying to gather information here on that.
Okay.
That way we
I'll see what I
can.
can track down on that.
Yep,
And you might want to touch base with Jim too, and maybe he might know
yep.
the history, and I don't know if you guys would know the history. That was probably where you probably weren't here yet when that was done, so.
No, I wasn't here when
uh,
Living,
What's that?
I was living here. I'm in a park.
You probably jumped your bike off that curb.
I'm probably sure I'm waiting.
So, I guess that's where I look at it. I'd say, John, look into it and find out, and just keep in touch with Steve. If that's.
Yep.
What else
If
did
we
he
can come
have?
up with a solution.
You had another problem too, you were saying?
I did?
I thought you said there was a couple things that he hadn't talked about.
When he was going through the pictures?
Well,
He
well,
did.
another item he brought up was, one of the entrances into the, back in 2007, there was an entrance that got removed on the new plan too. He was curious. I think one of the pictures he showed that, but.
Would that be on plans then back when they did that too, Steve, when they did that?
Yeah, this-
Why they took that out, or if there's a reason? And
yeah, it was this one right here. So here's the, building right here. With that curve and then just south of there. So this one's still here, then you had another one here that disappeared in the new plan. They're pretty close together. I went and looked at the Google Maps. Google Maps had a 2007, actually had it the year that they redid that, 2008, I should say. But that part hadn't been redone yet when Google Maps went through, and you can see that driveway he was talking about. And if you go to the next ones, it's no longer there. But he indicated he thought it'd be usable for him, but I guess I don't know exactly what we can do as a city. I mean, as a city, would we allow them to put in a new one there?
Well, it also goes back to when they engineered that, why wouldn't they have put it back in there, Steve?
That's a good question.
If it was
Close to
already,
the, is there an intersection north of there? Too close to the-
I can't.
I'm really confused on this whole entrance thing because at the end of their building, they have all
an
that
approach is
gravel.
what he's.
It's like an approach
Like an-
driveway. Yeah, it's all just gravel there, but that's what he utilized to bring his trucks in, and he'd make a circle out of the one that's still there, right straight across. So there's one right straight across from First Avenue,
That's just changed all from there.
and then there was another one, like probably 50 feet south of that.
We also need to look, and I haven't had a chance to go back and look at the minutes, but he did get a buyout for part of that. I don't know what the agreement was though.
Okay.
And I think you could ask Jim about that, he might know, he might not know the specifics, but he might know something.
I know, it's not like this one, but we roll back.
So I'll dig.
Where do they go about trying to find that information, Steve? How do you do that? Why they would have done that? Would there have been plans or something, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was a DOT project, so there was plans on it. Remember I was looking for something a couple years ago on that, and all I could find was our utility drawings. I couldn't find the other ones, and I think I reached out to KLJ to get a copy of it. I can't remember how that ended up. I don't remember why I was searching.
And the reason that it's somewhat city involved is because they were going to narrow the road down, is what I've heard, and we
Yeah.
wanted it out so we could have parking on it.
Yeah, because DOT wanted just highway width.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
The city decided, no, we wanted to keep the wider width, so we ended up paying some of it, is my understanding.
I think we got hired because we did utilities for the city. The city had to pay for all utilities work, and then DOT paid for the paving portion of it. I know about the project, but I wasn't on the project.
So do we have to, I'm gonna change the subject just a little bit, but, so the intersection down there, then being the city did the utilities, where all that's coming up on 81 there in Caledonia,
Yep.
that's our responsibility to fix that, or how does that get fixed?
The utilities or the paving over?
What, the street or the,
I'd assume the utilities are fine, it's the.
The agreement was, they put it in and paid their portion, we have to take care of it.
okay.
If I remember going back on this. Okay,
That's almost something that when you look at doing this other paving, that, I know that Jim said that was a little bit more involved because of drainage and everything. I don't know if that's something that we should think about in the future, having that looked at too, if we're responsible for it, because it is a mess there.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
we had one time it looked at bidding to figure out what we could do, but
I don't think it ever got that far, right?
Yep. Casey, was there anything else that we missed on, Tim?
Put that on your to-do list, John.
Yeah.
Outside of
On the intersection
beautification
there.
and the
Yeah.
electrical.
Maybe talk, you could, maybe that's, if you talk to Jim, that's something you could talk to him about too.
If you want to talk about
Because
that.
he was talking about
Or I
maybe
can
having to bid that out because because of the elevations and the state highway like that.
Right.
So, there was some issues on electrical, that he had some equipment, and I had sent that, had the girls send it to insurance for that. It was over our deductible, so.
And I'm gonna talk to Roy too about seeing what, and Sam about what's going on with electrical, and I know they've been talking about that building. So we'll see what, hopefully I know they've been talking to Tim or somebody, so I don't know what they ever came up with a conclusion to figure out what's,
Right.
what they can do there, or what, I don't know what this decision was, but I know they were working on it, so.
Next item is the 2025 budget. We're just starting discussion.
I'm not, just to back up 1 second, I think, wasn't there something in here about the railroad too, about, I didn't see any, there was emails, but I don't really see how we can help, I don't know how we can help them with those. Did you guys read any of those
You mean
emails?
where it said, right implement, not right
Oh.
implement? Those pictures?
Right, yeah, those pictures.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I mean, he briefly talked to me about that, like, he's saying all his stuff is on his property, but the railroad's saying it's not. And some of it was that contractor that used to,
Right, but it's not really, as long as he doesn't have anything on it,
yeah,
it's really not an issue.
Fine.
Right.
right.
So,
So I think the railroad was seeing some stuff on there, I think that's sort of since got cleaned up. since
Yeah,
the
there's still
whole
some cleanup needs to be done there, but it had nothing to do with Tim.
Tim, right.
So,
And I think I should say it doesn't have nothing to do with it, I think Corey wants to buy it. That's why Corey's link's brought up in there,
right, it says it was denied or something, so.
yeah.
so. I just wanted to make sure that we pointed that out.
Okay. The budget for next year, if you have any discussions, any additions that you want on it, now is the time to kind of start talking about some of those things. Make sure that they get in. We're getting most of them in.
Yep, preliminary worksheets are gonna go out this week to everybody. So if you have anything you wanna add, along with the whole list of descriptions of every single line item and what is coming out and going into each expense and revenue respectively. So, yeah, look out for that later this
You
week.
guys are getting on at the right time.
Same thing with the policy book. Now is the time where we start looking at it for the next year to change. So if you have any questions, updates, those types of things. Anything else from the commissioners? Anything from the public? Chuck?
Quick question to Paul. He made the motion to pay Jim $50 an hour whenever he's called back.
Yep,
Does that include blowing snow? And what is the specific reason he'd be called back?
it's for something that the guys couldn't figure out. They did have a question on.
Okay, they have a question on it.
Yep.
That means it shouldn't be a 5-hour callback thing, right?
No, it better not be.
Well, I'm
No,
bringing it to a
no,
head.
no.
There should be some stipulations that, you know, I do realize that he was here for many years and whatever, but by the same token, you hired a new person that, and I think a few of you can attest to the fact when you go to a new job, you either pick it up damn quick or you get replaced. Speaking of that, the lineman you hired, is he certified?
As an apprentice lineman, he's went through the Bismarck State College School.
Which one are you talking about, the journeyman?
I don't know which one I'm talking about, because how many you got? I was listening to Jason here, which sounds like we got 3.
We have one journeyman lineman or experienced lineman,
He's got certification.
correct,
From where?
California.
Okay, and what's the second one got then?
The second one finished school, went through a year and a half or 2 years of BSC's lineman's program.
Bismarck.
Or Bismarck State, yep.
Okay, the other thing, who's in charge of the inventory of the inventory? I understand you're gonna have supervisors in every little department there is. Who is gonna be overall in charge of taking the inventory and being responsible for it? And that ain't your question, Levi. Some of these other people that got portfolios can answer it too. And I only bring that up like electrical tools. You go to Bismarck State College, the third day you're there, you gotta buy $5,000 worth of tools. I mean, the student does, not Golden State Power or whoever, but I'm sure you're gonna have to buy twice that many here to supply that truck. So you better have somebody that's gonna be in charge of it. Are they all gonna be nameplated with the city of Hillsboro on them, like most places that have any type of tool?
I can ask Roy how they identify them.
Because it should be, it's only common practice for most business places that have a number of people handling of that. And I'm not pointing fingers at the lineman, electrician, or whatever, but you get 7, 8 people, plus sometimes the shop is probably open and whatever. There should be, and if you go to any pawn shop, you usually see a damn tag that's been ground off or still on there that it was Acme Electric or whatever, so I'm sure you're on top of that. I don't want to belittle any more time here because it's going to take too long. Did we give up on mosquito spraying?
On mosquito spraying? I haven't had any issues with mosquitoes, so I don't know.
You don't go outside at night or what?
Yeah, I go outside at night. I must be lucky.
Oh.
But then my wife tells me that too. She says the
You're
mosquitoes
lucky?
don't bother me.
Okay, all right.
Well,
They're not that sweet.
we've changed tactics. We've done more larviciding compared to spraying, because larvicide is more effective. Is that?
Is there a lot of issues with mosquitoes? I haven't.
Yep.
Is it out of control? Chuck?
How would I know if it's out of control? I just know that down by, which there's water there, the river, being I own a home down there, I'm over there quite a bit of the time. There is mosquitoes, of course, I know when I walk out of here, well, you're gonna have with the river. But it never was like it was, and I realize we've got a wet year. I just wanted to know though, because I gotta ask the question, did I give you a false alarm the other day?
No,
Okay, because her sump pumps are running now. So,
no, I had checked with the guys that day, and they're getting somebody in to try to locate the leak. So.
yeah, so I know there's more, whatever. Thank you, and I hate to bother you. That's one other thing you guys could do here. About 3 years ago, Levi wanted a placard made about half the size of this with phone numbers to call, a magnetic one. The average citizen in town, other than I know, call the sheriff's department. They're our Band-Aid for everything. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, like a water leak, if somebody sees one right away, or who are we supposed to call for city outages? Is it supposed to be the sheriff's department?
It's dead.
No, there's the,
See, we need some phone numbers probably somewhere, either in a banner or spend that $500, because it seems like we could spend $10,000 real easy, and get something made up with some phone numbers that somebody gets connected to.
I think John and Jim put one out here like a year, might have been a year and a half ago.
an advertisement or a
Well,
magnet?
like a number, I've seen it on
There-
Facebook.
There is a number.
There is
There's a utilities number that you call.
Yeah. Like,
It's
yeah,
on the website,
or-
and there's one on the sign out there.
There's also a number down at.
But I think, like you said, a magnet right on the door, or the,
Absolutely. Hell, if a grocery store could put on a magnet with their name on it, number, I would think the city of Hillsboro could do that.
I think that, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think part of our problem is everybody gets their information from different places. And, how do you?
Well, you're talking like a fridge magnet even
magnet,
too, like you could put on your fridge.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you're right, thank you. Cross the river, no, cross the interstate. All the work that city's doing out there mowing and cleaning up, shouldn't that be Mr. Mueller's project?
Not the city property. Anything that's on their property, the lots,
Is Mueller's.
is Mueller's, I believe, right?
Yes.
We just have the right, we just have what we own, so
So everything we're doing out there is just city work.
it should be, and.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just asked, and that was brought up by somebody other than me, because
Yeah.
I don't really worry about grass that much, doesn't smoke it, no.
Policeman in here.
Whoops.
You might want to drive by his house. and replace it.
Say, all right, you're gonna be busy for a while?
I got a number you can call, I'll get you a ring.
One thing I will say, though, I do appreciate a little discussion here tonight among people. It can leave me at home, and you guys can carry on, because there is pluses and minuses to everything. I'm well aware of that. And I wish you a lot of luck, because you've all been handed a mess. This city, for the last 10, 12 years, or going back probably further than that, really got called kicking the can down the road. And it's too bad, it's unfortunate, but we'll pay the price now. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
information.
Okay, anything else from the good order from anyone?
You guys good? You don't get it very often, so we're gonna let you talk.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.